Hi, friends. It's been a rough day, not gonna lie. But I've been looking forward to recording this episode. So I'm thrilled to be here. I'm thrilled you're here. If no one's told you this today, I am so happy you are here right now. And I hope you're in a safe space like I am. I hope you've been able to ground yourself in reality during this crazy time in our world. Um, if you have work stressors, if you have home stressors, for the next however many minutes I'm going to be talking, I hope you can push all those to the side and be present with me as we go on this journey together. But before I dive in, I just want to take a moment to thank my wonderful boyfriend, Ryan, for bringing this story to my attention. It's not that I hadn't heard of this woman before, but I will be honest and say I forgot about a lot of her story and much of who she is and who she was. So I would like to start, I think, with who we all think Henrietta Lacks is, right? Who is the woman whose cells have saved millions? And I don't want to talk about her cells, right? I want to talk about Henrietta. And I know that that's a big task. It's hard to separate her from the scientific discovery, because we are taught that Henrietta Lacks changed science, that her cells were immortal, that they revolutionized medicine, that they saved millions of lives. And yes, all of this is true. But what we are rarely taught is how those cells were taken, or what it meant for the woman they came from. So again, this episode is not about her cells. It is about her, about Henrietta Lacks, and about a long history of Black women whose bodies were treated as medical resources, not as people, not as humans. So let's learn just a little bit about Henrietta before the lab. Henrietta Lacks was born in 1920 in Roanoke, Virginia. She grew up in tobacco fields. She was poor. She was Black. She was Southern. Later, she will go on to move to Turner Station, Maryland, a working-class Black community right outside of Baltimore. She was a mother of 5. She loved dancing, like so many of us, especially myself. She wore bright red nail polish. She laughed loudly. Her children remembered her as alive in every room she entered. So Henrietta Lacks was not anonymous. She was known. So in 1951, Henrietta goes to Johns Hopkins Hospital. At the time, it was one of the only hospitals in Baltimore that treated Black patients. Henrietta was bleeding. She was in pain. She was afraid. Doctors diagnosed her with cervical cancer. And during her treatment, without her consent, without her knowledge, tissue was taken from her cervix. No explanation, no permission, no choice. Henrietta died at the young age of 31. She never knew her cells were still alive. Her family never knew. Their mother's cells were still alive. So for decades, Henrietta's name disappeared, but her cells were everywhere while she was nowhere. And that changed with the book, The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. Rebecca Skloot followed Henrietta's family, their confusion, their anger, their grief. She showed that this was not just a scientific breakthrough, it was a human story. The book restored something science had erased: Henrietta's name. So Henrietta's cells did something no one expected. They survived, they multiplied, they became the first immortal human cell line. So let's look at polio. In the 1950s, polio terrified families. HeLa cells were used to mass test the polio vaccine, Henrietta's cells, and millions of children were spared paralysis. Cancer. Scientists used her cells to study tumor growth, radiation, chemotherapy, genetic mutation. Nearly every major cancer treatment breakthrough can be traced back in some way to Henrietta's cells. HIV and AIDS in the 1980s, as HIV devastated communities, Henrietta's cells help scientists understand viral replication and test antiretroviral drugs. Treatments that now allow people to live long lives were built on Henrietta's cells. COVID-19, something we all lived through if you're listening to this right now. But even during the COVID-19 pandemic, Henrietta's cells were used in early research to study viral entry into human cells and test treatments. 70 years after her death, Henrietta was still contributing to global survival. And both these next statements are true. Her cells saved lives. She was never asked. But Henrietta Lacks was not the first Black woman used without consent. She stands in a much longer lineage. During slavery, enslaved women like Anarcha, Lucy, and Betsy were subjected to repeated gynecological surgeries by Dr. Marion Sims without anesthesia. Their pain was dismissed, their consent irrelevant. After slavery, forced sterilizations targeted poor Black women. Hospitals became sites of extraction. Science replaced the plantation, but hierarchy remained. So Henrietta was not a mistake. She was part of a pattern. And so before we continue Henrietta's story, I want to make sure that we understand that in making sense of Henrietta's story, we have to understand the broader system that made her extraction possible. And legal scholar Dorothy Roberts calls this system what it is. In her book, Killing the Black Body, she argues that the United States has long treated Black women's reproduction not as private, sacred, or protected, but as something to be monitored, controlled, exploited, and disciplined. Roberts writes that control over Black women's bodies has always been central to maintaining racial hierarchy, and that control did not begin with modern medicine. It began in slavery. Under slavery, Black women's wombs were economic assets. Their ability to bear children increased wealth for enslavers. Reproduction was coerced. Pregnancy was not privacy, it was profit. Black women could not legally refuse sex. They could not refuse pregnancy. They could not refuse medical intervention. Their bodies were sites of extraction, not care. And this is where we must remember the women subjected to surgical experimentation without anesthesia. Women like Anarcha, Lucy, and Betsy, who, if they had last names, had been lost to the records or held the same name as their masters, their enslavers. They were operated on repeatedly in the name of gynecological advancement. Their pain dismissed, their consent irrelevant. Their suffering became medical knowledge, and their names nearly disappeared. So Henrietta Lacks stands in this shadow, in this lineage. And Dorothy Roberts shows that even after slavery ends, the logic does not disappear, it adapts. In the 20th century, Black women were disproportionately targeted for forced sterilization. Doctors and social workers deemed them unfit, unworthy, excessive. Their fertility was framed as a social problem, their motherhood surveilled, their pregnancies scrutinized, their reproductive decisions criminalized. And here is the through line. Black women's bodies were consistently treated as available for public intervention. Henrietta's cells were taken in 1951. The year matters. This is not ancient history. This is mid-century America. Roberts continues to argue that medicine is not neutral. It operates within racial power structures. Who is believed? Who is experimented on? Who is asked? Who is informed? These are not random outcomes. They reflect whose bodies are considered fully human. Henrietta was treated in the colored ward at Johns Hopkins. Segregated care, segregated space. And inside that segregated space, her tissue was removed without consent. This was not an isolated oversight. It was consistent with a broader belief that poor Black women's bodies could be used in service of progress. So Roberts forces us to ask a difficult question. When we celebrate scientific advancement, do we also interrogate who bore the cost? Reproductive justice is not only about the right to have children. It's also about the right not to be sterilized, not to be experimented on, not to have parts of your body removed and commercialized without yours or your family's knowledge. Henrietta's story is not only about cells. It is about reproductive autonomy. Her cancer was located in her cervix, the most intimate site of reproductive identity, and from that site, cells were taken. Her reproductive body became scientific capital. And this does not mean science is inherently violent. It means science operates inside history. And history in the United States has repeatedly positioned Black women as medically accessible. Henrietta Lacks is not a metaphor. She is evidence. Her story illustrates exactly what Roberts describes. A nation that advanced medicine while denying Black women full bodily sovereignty. So when we say Henrietta Lacks changed medicine, that is so true. But when we say her body was used without consent in a system already shaped by centuries of reproductive control, that is also true. And both must be spoken. Otherwise, the story remains incomplete. So again, Henrietta did not consent. Her family did not consent. But guess what? At the time, this was legal. Medical ethics evolved later, often because of harm like this. The system assumed some bodies were available for use, especially Black women. So what happens next? Henrietta's children grew up hearing rumors that their mother was still alive, that scientists had pieces of her everywhere. They were asked for blood samples without clarity. Deborah Lacks said she just wanted to know her mother as a person, not a cell line, but as a mother. So if we only tell the scientific triumph, we not only erase her, we erase the long lineage of Black women who have suffered at the hands of medical science. If we only tell the exploitation, we flatten her impact. So the truth is complicated. A Black woman's body was taken without consent, and it changed the world. The question is not whether medicine benefited. The question is why she and her family were excluded from that benefit. So Henrietta Lacks was not immortal, even if her cells were. She was a woman who loved her children, who loved to dance, who loved music, who loved to get her nails done. She deserved to be asked. She deserved dignity. And remembering her correctly is not about rejecting science. It's about insisting that progress must include consent. So this is when women walked. And sometimes walking means refusing to let a body be remembered without a name.